So as I was saying, I just want our superintendent to trust our staff. We're professionals. I'd like to see the Board of Education do more visits within the classroom, not just at like after school activities and events like that. And I'd also like to see not only the community coming into the school, but our schools going out into the community. Um, I feel like we do a lot of community comes to us, but I think as a district initiative, we need to be giving back to the community. And I also know that that's one of our key goals. So that's one of the things that I would like to see change because I think it's important. As far as standard correlation, relevancy, and reflection, so part of the correlation was just understanding the operations and management and seeing how they are currently and what we could do for the future for success. And I think with all the branches of government, they're all of the management and operations of the day-to-day tasks are enforced. That's why you get your policies and procedures, and that's how it's guiding the districts and then down to the schools. If I had to rank and personal appointment importance, I think communication is number one. I think we've seen that, and I'll go back to COVID. There was just so much people didn't know what was going on, or the wrong things were being said because they were being spread like wildfire. Whereas whenever we would hear something from the state legislation or even the federal, we knew that we could take that as truth instead of Joe Namath on the street saying this is what I heard. And having that communication flow through all stakeholders is so important. So yeah, we get it from the federal and then it goes to the state and then at the local. But at the local, I think it's important not only for us to hear from the Board of Education, the superintendent, but I think it's important that teachers, staff, kids, parents, community members are also, so it's more of like a bubble effect where everybody, and it's not like a hierarchy. I think that's something to think about on how you communicate. Operation systems, I think that should be the next importance just because you need to know where you are and where you're going. What goals are you putting into place? You're using your data to be informed, you're applying the laws and policies and regulations, and then that's going from wherever you're starting to wherever you want to go. And then the management is just the day-to-day operations, running the school, making sure that, kids are coming to school. I know right now in our district we have a huge issue with attendance and chronic absenteeism, and I know that's everywhere, but what are we doing to put in place to make sure that our kids are getting to school so that way we can do the day-to-day operations? And then finally, I think technology is important. Um, it's uh, it's important because of the times of technology. It like changes every day. I feel like there's a new app or there's a new way to do this, or when the is it AI or IA or whatever, the robot thing, like that's out now and teachers are using that to like do certain things in their classroom, and I'm like, like I feel like I'm pretty tech savvy and I can't even catch up with all of that. But we have to have that piece too, because that is only going to support who we are here for, which is our students. So that way, when they do leave us, they will be successful in the world and be leading us in the future. Relevancy. So the current learning that I have learned from this module is specifically to clearly define the roles and responsibilities between a Board of Education and the superintendent. One of the articles that stated like asking like the Board of Education questions about, am I overstepping into an administrative role? Am I holding into my values of what I'm supposed to be doing as a board member? But in the same retrospect, they talked about that with the superintendent. Am I being the appropriate administrator and letting my Board of Education lead the conversation and just being that liaison for the district? Or am I not taking responsibility because I don't something about because I don't have the confidence to lead something or whatever. But it was one of the articles we read, and I thought that was super informative, especially being a new administrator. Yes, I haven't actually been a principal yet. I'm still waiting for the right opportunity. And I haven't been in that neck of the woods. I've done a bunch of leadership opportunities, but it'll be different if I ever do decide to go the superintendent route, to make sure that we all know what we're doing and what our expectations are. And then being involved in understanding the initiatives and policies. There's always something new. There's always something coming down the pipeline, and you have to always just be on top. And I remember when I did the Western Leadership Academy last year, we did a Q&A with the superintendents, and that was one of the things, is how do you keep on top of the initiatives and the policies and things like that? And there are people that are there to help you. You're not going to be thrown to the wolves, but it's just something personally that I know that I would have to work on, along with the politics of it. As much as I'm not a huge political person, politics does drive education just like it drives anything else in the world. And so being up to date and understanding the jargon, that's probably one of the big parts for me, and what they're meaning and why they're saying these things. And that's why you have, your lobbyist and the State Board of Education and people like that to help you through that. And of course, just relying on other fellow superintendents. I know that they're limited, and there's a shortage of superintendents and administrators and teachers. It's all over. But, relying and finding somebody to mentor you through those is very important. The 3 levels of improvement. So I would say that the federal definitely guides. It's like the big umbrella of the whole educational department. And then within that umbrella is your structures of that umbrella. So what the state dictates needs to be happening. And then the handle, this is how I visually see it, is the local, and that's us carrying it out. So we're carrying the umbrella of everything that needs to be happening. So a lot of that comes from, because of funding, the curriculum, policies, initiatives, politics, all of those types of things. And then my personal reflection. So my teach and learn is I just need to continue to build relationships and communication, especially when I do move up into an administrative role. People are going to need to know me in the community, because I know that I probably won't be in a place that I will be currently living. And so that's important to take into consideration, is that people know who you are. If they don't know who you are, then they're not going to build trust with you, and then they're not going to want to listen to anything you have to say or express, even if you do think you're right or you know what you're talking about. And then future decisions, roles need to be clarified and with discussion of expectations, procedures, and responsibilities. And I think that's just getting to know people that you're working with. If you set up these guidelines before you start, getting into the nitty gritty, then you're going to have a better outcome than if you were just thrown in and, hope you can figure it out. And then along with constant communication, you can never not communicate enough. Yes, there's over communication, some people would say, but somewhere someone didn't get the memo. So just continuing to communicate. And it's different too. Yeah, you can do videos, you can do phone calls, you can do newsletters, you can do word by mouth, you can just send a flyer home. There's so many ways to communicate. And I think that is something that is vital for any program or school or, position, is communication, because people need to know the game plan. They need to know the priorities and what we're going to tackle next. Thanks for listening to my video. I'm sorry that I sound so congested. Here are my resources. And I look forward to learning from all of you through this class. Holy cow. Have a great night.